Yakuza, or in other words, Japanese organized crime, is an important part of Japanese culture and history. Hence, there are many different types of sources you can use to learn about these gangsters and what role they play in Japanese society. Movies, anime, video games, books, you name it. Yakuza stories can be found in pretty much any medium. Today we will cover only one of them, which is non-fictional books. To be more precise, I will interview a person who had a chance to get a closer look at Yakuza world due to his profession. Today's guest is a private investigator who just released a book about Yakuza and how they operate. Hello, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. Based on your experience, I'm sure viewers of this channel will love to hear some interesting and educational stories from you. We briefly talked before, but viewers might not know you. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Masaji. I am a private investigator in both the USA and Japan. I received my private investigator license in 2005. I have a degree in criminal justice and was awarded Most Valued Student in my university's criminal justice department. I studied about the Japanese underworld for a very long time, but I started to have very unusual experiences when I started to work for a private investigation agency in Ginza.
How long have you been doing this and why did you choose this career path?
It has been 19 years. My father was in the FBI and is someone that I have always looked up to. I also graduated in Japanese, so I decided to look into crime problems in Japan. I noticed that there were fewer incidents of unorganized crime, but higher incidences of organized crime.
Since it's a channel about Yakuza, are there any misconceptions or stereotypes that, in your opinion, regular people get wrong about Japanese organized crime groups?
Yakuza are not psychopaths. They are first and foremost businessmen, much like any other businessmen in Japan. That doesn't speak well for businessmen in Japan, but the ethics here are not exactly exceptional. Yakuza will leave you alone and be respectful as long as you don't try to cause them any trouble. If you do cause them any trouble, they may first send a very aggressive lawyer. Their lawyers can be very nasty. Going straight to a hitman can be more trouble than it is worth.
Those who are deeply interested in Yakuza-related topics might know that back in the days, Yakuza were involved in majority of different businesses and had hundreds of thousands of members. However, nowadays their influence and power seems to be dropping lower and lower. Do they actually lose power and influence, or they just change the way they operate and go underground?
That is a very important question that does need to be answered, because this is a good example of police and Yakuza cooperating in a propaganda campaign. The Yakuza have simply changed tactics. They aren't stupid. They are not just going to sit back and watch their businesses go down the drain. There have been a lot of fake resignations and disbandments. Usually a Yakuza group registered with the police, but the newer groups are not bothered to do that. Why would they? There is no incentive to do that. The police are using this new phenomenon to make themselves look tough, and the Yakuza is playing victim. It's a win-win for both.
Shinogi is a term Yakuza used to describe a hustle or a scheme that brings money. What were the most popular shinogi back in 80s and 90s? What shinogi are popular nowadays?
Back in the 80s and 90s, the shinogi was very traditional. It would be tasks such as protection money, collection, gambling dens, and human trafficking. All these things still happen today, but nowadays they're also engaged in more technological crimes such as selling contraband on the deep web. Stock manipulation is also very popular.
Some people say that Japanese society used to function under a so-called triangle of authority, which is police, government, and Yakuza. Can you elaborate on it? Why were the police and the government not unified, and to what degree did Yakuza interact, coordinate, and cooperate with the police and the government?
They didn't really need to be unified because Japan runs on a lot of unspoken rules. As long as the Yakuza doesn't cross a certain line, the police will leave them alone. Yakuza and the police will talk to each other in a very casual manner. They can't make anything seem too official. Yakuza talks to government officials either to blackmail them or pay them off. Yakuza are not the only people that do this with the government officials, and it happens in the USA as well. Government officials are real scumbags in general.
You've mentioned that you've released a book focused on Yakuza. What can a reader who wants to learn more about Yakuza world find in your book that other books can't offer? How is it different?
First of all, it is a very massive book that took over a decade to complete. It has a very unusual viewpoint that doesn't buy into the government PR. I am wheelchair bound, so I talk about the corruption in the caregiver industry as well. I talk about personal experiences as well as historical events. I went undercover into SGI, so I talk about that too. Yakuza influence in the private investigation industry is talked about at length. I don't hold anything back and I show everything.
That's really nice. Will this book have an English version? If so, when can we expect to see it?
Yes, the English version will be released sometime before next April. With the way the two languages are organized, the English version will be even more massive.
Before letting you go, I would like to ask you some rapid fun questions. Do you watch Yakuza movies? If so, which ones are your favorite?
Yes, I like the Yakuza with Ken Takakura. I like the old school movies.
In case you're familiar with Yakuza or Ryuga Gotoku in Japan video game franchise, what do you think of such Yakuza world representation?
That series is basically a digitized version of Yakuza fan literature. It only shows what the Yakuza think of themselves, and it doesn't show the full picture.
Which places, excluding official Yakuza headquarters, people should avoid if they don't want to meet Yakuza members while visiting Japan?
They would have to avoid the red light districts completely, and basically anywhere men really want to go. That might be asking too much. You can meet Yakuza anywhere. I ran into one by accident and he was collecting protection money. If you need to hire a private investigator in Japan, you need to be very careful in your selection. The industry is full of Yakuza.
Is there anything you would like to say to the viewers who are on this channel purely for Yakuza related information?
You will find information in my book that other books will never touch. A lot of research and a lot of crazy experiences are in it. My readers have found the information frightening because it is so different than what they're used to hearing. The book is basically Yakuza one-on-one and more.
And this is where we ended our interview. Investigator Masaji agreed to answer questions related to his career, book, or Yakuza world. So if you have anything on your mind, don't be shy and leave your question in the comment section below. Peace.